It started with nothing more than the sound of water lapping against the side of a pool, kids splashing in the shallow end, drinks clinking in the sun, and then a voice cut through it all, sharp enough to slice the air in half. "You don't belong here." A man, red-faced chest puffed out like he owned the entire state, was standing over a young black woman who hadn't moved an inch from her lounge chair. She was sitting there in a cobalt blue swimsuit, sunglasses, on, calm as ever, her skin glowing in the Florida sun. But this guy, oh, he wasn't having it. His name was Richard Coleman, a retired banker who'd spent his last 20 years bullying his way around the private resort like he was the sheriff of paradise. And now, in front of families sipping margaritas and kids halfway through cannonballs, he had chosen his target. "You think you can just walk into a private resort like you own the place?" Richard snarled, spittle flying as he jabbed his finger inches from her face. "This pool is for members only, not for outsiders." The word rolled off his tongue like poison, and everybody knew what he meant by it. The crowd froze. A woman in a sun hat shifted nervously. A man pretended to check his phone, but really aimed the camera at the scene. Everyone had seen Richard before, loud, entitled, always first to complain, always last to apologize. But this time it felt uglier. And through it all, she didn't say a word. She simply stretched her legs, crossed them one over the other, and leaned back like she was soaking in the silence. That quiet confidence, it only made him angrier. "Answer me, damn it! Who invited you? Show me your membership card or get out before I call the cops myself," he barked, veins bulging. Somebody whispered, "This is bad," another muttered. "He's going to regret this," but no one stepped in. Not yet. And then, as if the world had decided to test everyone's nerves, two uniformed officers walked onto the pool deck. One tall, broad-shouldered, with a buzz cut. The other a sharp-eyed woman with a voice that could cut through steel. Their badges caught the sunlight. Authority itself. Richard practically bounced on his heels. "Officers, right here, she's the trespasser. Remove her immediately." He was grinning like a man who thought he'd already won. The officers exchanged a glance, one of those quick, loaded looks that said, "This is about to get messy." The male officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, we've had a complaint. Can we see some ID?" "This is a private facility," Richard interrupted, jabbing his finger again. "Don't waste time. She doesn't belong here. Probably some local sneaking in." Look at her. She doesn't fit. That word again. Didn't fit. And finally, after sitting in silence, the woman lowered her sunglasses. Her eyes were steady, sharp, and unbothered. She looked at Richard like he was nothing more than background noise. Then calmly, she turned to the officers. "Do you want my ID? Or do you want the truth?" Richard barked out a laugh. "Don't play games, lady. Show them your ID if you even have one. Or maybe it says trespasser, criminal, maybe worse." The crowd gasped. A woman in the back whispered, "Richard, that's too far." But he didn't stop. He never knew when to stop. The woman set her drink down, rose to her feet, slow, deliberate. She towered over him, calm but commanding. Her voice dropped lower, steady as a drum beat. "You really want to do this here?" The female officer stiffened. Something in her tone sounded familiar. But Richard shoved forward again, practically foaming at the mouth. "Arrest her already. What are you waiting for? She doesn't belong in a place like this." That phrase, "a place like this," hung in the air, and that was it. She reached into her beach bag. The officers tensed, hands twitching toward their belts, but she ignored them. She pulled out a sleek black wallet, flipped it open with a snap. The gold badge gleamed in the sun. Commissioner Naomi Carter. Silence. Every sound, the pool, filter the cocktail shakers, the laughter of kids vanished. Richard's rant cut off mid-word, his face drained of color. The officers snapped to attention, spines straight as poles. Naomi's eyes locked on him, and with one sentence she ended it. "You wanted my ID, now you have it." The female officer cleared her throat, voice tight with protocol. "Commissioner, with your permission, we'll need to take Mr. Coleman in for questioning." Richard spun, panic seizing him. What? No, I was just protecting the resort. You all saw. She doesn't belong. But nobody backed him up. Not one person. Phones were raised higher, cameras zooming closer. His empire of arrogance crumbled in real time. Naomi didn't shout, didn't smirk. She just slid her sunglasses back into place. Take him. The clink of handcuffs was louder than the entire crowd's silence, justice ringing in metal. As Richard was dragged across the deck, sputtering, the guests murmured in awe and disbelief. And then, as if the humiliation wasn't enough, the resort manager rushed in, an elegant man in a navy suit, pale with nerves. Ladies and gentlemen, his voice trembled. Allow me to clarify. Commissioner Carter isn't just an honored guest. He paused, eyes scanning the stunned crowd. She is the owner of this resort, purchased last year, in full. Gas rippled like a tidal wave, jaws dropped, drinks nearly spilled. The manager turned to Richard. Your membership has been revoked, effective immediately. You are banned from this property permanently. Richard sagged in the cuffs, his kingdom reduced to dust. And Naomi? She leaned back in her chair, calm as the ocean. She didn't need to bask in it. She'd seen this play before too many times. Her mind drifted back to Southside Chicago, where she grew up with nothing but grit, a mother working double shifts to keep the lights on. Back to classrooms, where she was the only black girl in advanced courses accused of cheating her way in. Back to the army barracks, where men twice her size told her she'd never last a week. She outlasted them all. 10 years in the military, 15 more in law enforcement, climbing every rung of a ladder that was greased against her. And now police commissioner, wealthy, powerful, owning the very ground men like Richard thought she didn't belong on. So when he screamed she didn't fit, it wasn't new, it was just louder. And this time she decided to answer it in the only language that mattered: proof. The resort manager hovered nervously, trying to apologize. Naomi raised a hand, cutting him off. Save it. This isn't about me. It's about the fact that you let him act like this for years. You knew. You all knew. And you let it happen. His face flushed with shame. You're right, we failed. Naomi didn't press. She didn't need to. The truth had already landed. By the shallow end, two little girls peeked out, one white, one black. They couldn't have been more than 8. The black girl whispered, "Why was that man yelling at her?" The mother's face twisted, pain in her eyes. She finally said, "Because some people think they can decide who belongs." But today he learned he was wrong. The white girl blinked, looked at her friend, but she was brave. She didn't yell. She just showed who she was. Naomi caught their eyes across the pool, and for the first time that day, she smiled, soft, warm, the kind of smile that plants seeds, because that's who it was for. Not Richard, not the crowd, for the kids watching. An hour later, Richard was officially charged with filing a false report and disturbing the peace. Videos of his meltdown lit up social media. Hashtags exploded. Memes flooded timelines. The man who thought he was king of the resort became the clown of the internet. Naomi didn't need to comment. She didn't need to lift a finger. The truth carried itself. As the sun set, streaking the sky in gold and pink, guests approached her chair. Some apologized. Some thanked her. Some just nodded with respect. But she only spoke when a young man, barely 20, clutching a notepad, nervously approached. "Commissioner Carter, I just want to say I've never seen anything like that. The way you handled it. You didn't even raise your voice." Naomi leaned forward, her voice calm, steady. "Power isn't in how loud you are. It's in how long you can wait before showing it." The boy scribbled every word. The crowd nearby fell silent, letting it sink in. Night fell. The pool lights shimmered, blue crickets humming. Naomi gathered her things, glanced once more at the empty chair where Richard had stood screaming. She exhaled, letting it go. And before she turned away, she whispered words only the night seemed to hear. "I belong everywhere I choose to stand." And with that, she walked back into the resort she owned, leaving behind a silence heavy with truth and a lesson no one would ever forget. Now, I'll ask you, what do you think? Was Richard just one loud old man, or does he represent something bigger? Something we see every day in different ways? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me where you've seen this kind of arrogance, this kind of ignorance, and whether you think quiet strength is the best answer, or if sometimes yelling back is the only way. Because stories like this, they're not just entertainment, they're mirrors.